Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talking Horses. Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling. We've got a big card today. We've got 10 races to discuss. We are going to break as they go into the gate for the Dubai World Cup. Scheduled post is 12:30. We'll come back right after it. So we'll have a little bit of extra time between, so we want to get things moving. Head over to NYRABets.com. If you're not a member of NYRABets, use the promo code STAKES200. We will match for $200 of your initial deposit. Play through NYRABets, support racing in New York, and most importantly, keep the money in the game. We've got that $10,000 hit and split with pick fours all over the country. Check that out. You got to opt in, but go over to NYRABets.com for more information, where you can find Anthony's selections in many, if not all, of those races throughout the day. We also have the Bankroll Builder. Bet 50 to win. Is it 50 or more?
50 or more.
50 or more on anybody in the Louisiana Derby. Win, lose, or draw. You get $25 back for the Kentucky Derby. It'll come in Kentucky Derby weekend. We've got 2 more weeks of this.
Yes.
Of course, next weekend as well as the Memorial weekend. We've got cross country pick 5. Tampa Bay's race 10. All of these will be on America's Day at the Races. 2 at Aqueduct, 2 at Oaklawn as well. And of course, as we said, all of that stuff will be on America's Day at the Races. America's Day at the Race today, 1 to 7 on FS2. Anthony, we start out in the first race today, in a race that we had the exact same super, but the scratch sort of botched the whole thing.
Oh, that's terrible.
So it just screwed everything up. So this is a race where, and we'll take a look, it's at Colden DeHare finishing second to Hey Mamaluke, who came back and won at Parks, wired the field for Gary Siaka. I gotta tell you, it's just kind of a lot of dichotomy in these races. I mean, I know Easy to Bless has a back race that gives her a chance. I'm trying to get, like you, Gustavo Rodriguez off the claim where she's a little edgy to get better, but at the end of the day, isn't it Colden DeHare just better than these horses?
And what we see on a day like today, Andy, is you see the horses dropping out of the straight allowance races. You see horses coming in from some stakes races, former stakes winners. You see horses in the claiming ranks, and she's just one that, you know, you see glass ceiling and Hey Mama Luke in her card.
Right.
She ran in the ladies 3-back without the Lasix, and you know, she looks like she has these horses over a proverbial barrel.
The only potential fly in the ointment is that she doesn't have much speed.
Right.
And that's why she's a little edgy. That's why one of the reasons we have her for second.
No question about
because
it.
she figures to be sitting second over Gazilda 40 Tails, where she has run some better figures, Gazilda 40 Tails, but every time she's done it with the benefit of a bias.
Right. So is Gazilda 40 Tails, right? So
no, I'm saying Gazilda 40
Yeah,
Tails.
yeah, no question about it.
When she's run fast, she's had a bias in her favor, and she's still not as good as it's Colden DeHare. But if you're betting against a Colden DeHare, you're betting against her because you think she's pace compromised,
Correct.
and you're worried the pace is not going to be that fast.
I don't disagree.
Which, frankly, is not a wrong opinion. I mean, I think you and I expect her to be tough to beat, but the pace could do her in. Race number 2. We'll take a look at Witch Hunter winning the last race. And I know, once again, she's a horse with no speed in a race that doesn't feature much pace. But my God, Anthony, I mean, investment grade is the speed in here.
that's the problem.
You know, captivating character, excuse me. The horses she beat last time may not be supersonic horses. I don't think there's a horse that finished second or third or fourth behind her that wouldn't be favored in this race if she wasn't in here.
Right. They'd easily be Captivating Cara would easily be the second choice in this race today. I don't disagree with that. Yeah, and you know, I know they went a quick opening quarter last time, but it wasn't like they were flying around there last time either. And the pace setters were a little more accomplished than investment grade. So, you know, you figure investment grade's going to come back.
And you also have to realize that Dylan Davis and Charlie Baker understand that she could be a bit pace compromised. And so I don't think they're going to just come out of the gate and let her fall back 10 lengths behind. They'll get her in position. And, you know, you start looking at who we have second and third. I scratched first forever. I mean, we both have Indian Bella second in deference to a man who told me that he'd like to swap jobs with me. I told him he could do my job. I can't do his job. We didn't show the Indian Bella's last race. But, I mean, when we've got her second, that's quite a condemnation of the rest of the horses in the race.
An indictment and a half.
Yeah, it really is.
I disagree either.
Race number 3. And as we move on to race number 3, and
Speeding horses today.
We do want to get things
much
in.
To say, yeah.
And there is stuff to say about later races.
Absolutely.
And we're going to stop agreeing very, very shortly
Yes, we
in
are.
today's. But I don't think we need to. I don't think people need to hear, unless one of us has a real strong opinion. And listen, if you're against some of these favorites, then jump in, because you're going to get paid.
Absolutely.
But we'll look at Dark Money's last race. I mean, come on.
You have 3 of his last 4 races that are just going to dominate this field. The one bad race was on a sloppy track. And truth be told, that race makes him a player in here. So,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just not much.
I don't know. Tom Morley claimed him, probably thinking about a race like this coming up.
Of course.
And he probably has a better chance because I read Twitter, Tom is in Fairgrounds. Now, if they could get Maggie to saddle the horse would be a cinch, really, right?
They're
The
going
true brains of the
to
operation.
leave me on America's Day at the races alone?
True. Oh, that's true. She's up there with you. Well, sometimes sacrifices have to be made, Anthony.
Maybe.
And I get that Tapazir is without question the second likeliest winner. And as you say, if Dark Money ran back to that sloppy track race, Tapazir could win here.
Right.
I'm going to try to play a cold number with the 3-second Smile Brian.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to go back in the replay machine to November of 2020, race number 6, and show you that there's a Smile Brian out there that can run well in dirt sprints. And what I think is interesting is if you look at some of his races, his figures are often reasonably comparable to his dirt races.
Yep.
I mean, turf races, when he ran the turf. And his form had kind of fallen apart the last times we saw this horse in the dirt. The last time we saw him, albeit in December, and listen, to be fair, he's taking a shot in here, and they know turf is coming up, and they're getting him ready, so all that stuff works. Last time this horse ran, he ran a big fig. Mike Mazzelli's a good trainer.
Huge fig.
This horse could be second in this race. This horse, he's the horse that has the races that give him a little bit of a chance.
I was going to try the new shooter, High Five Cotton, for second, who comes out of here. But yeah, just again, Smile Brian. A little bit of the.
He's got some dirt for him. Race number 4. You're going to try to beat Customer Experience.
I am.
We will show you Customer Experience's race 2 back. Last time out, it was a slow pace, sort of out of his game, better horses, claimed by Robbie Falcone. I'm not trying to beat this horse. He's the best horse in a mile. And my problem with Honey Money, who I do have second, and I totally understand that on paper she's the other horse, I don't think she's best going a mile.
I don't either, but and I didn't know the scratches, obviously, but she's going to be in front here.
Is she really going to be in front of Customer Experience?
I think she'll be in front of Customer Experience. I don't think they're going to send Customer Experience.
You don't think Dylan's going to be pretty much right off of her, though?
She could be. She could be.
I mean, I agree with you that Honey Money is a little bit faster, but I'm not convinced. I'm not, the way they've been riding. And the other thing
I'm confident that Trevor, see, I know what you're saying about Dylan not letting her out of her sights, but I think Trevor McCarthy on Honey Money knows that a little separation would probably be best for him.
Nah, I'm going to tell you the opposite. I think what Trevor knows is that she's a little bit distance compromised, and he's afraid of going a little too fast with her early. So I'm not quite sure that that's the case.
Okay.
I think when you're Trevor riding her to mile, it's hard to be overly confident because she backs up. I mean, let's face it, the day she wanted a mile, don't forget, on paper that was a 2-horse race, and the other horse didn't make it to the far turn before it's collapsing. And so she still was all out to win. I know Frostby's come back and run reasonably well in flat. Listen, she's the other horse in the race. I'm not denying it, and she's going to be forward as well. You got anybody else in here you want to take?
No.
I mean, I got B-Bit for third simply because Jeffrey Engelhardt claimed the horse.
We have the same 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know where else you're supposed to go. Gary Contessa. When's the last time he ran a horse in New York?
How about this one? Darius Angel won this race in 2019.
I've got it circled. There's a few of those. Did I already miss one?
I think so. Or maybe, no.
No, I think it's later. It's later because I was talking about him. Okay. We'll see what happens. We do have our first difference of opinion in there. Race number 5. We really are moving along here. It's good because we'll talk about some stuff later. Race number 5, I think, is a little bit more open in the sense that there are, without question, 3 distinct horses that can win in here in Tiergan, Doubly Blessed, and Hammer and Hammer. Why don't we start with Doubly Blessed? I don't have a replay for Doubly Blessed. So, what do you make of his second place finish to Green Light Go, who was a contender in the Carter?
I kind of feel like I don't know how well he ran, or if it was more of some of the other horses not showing up. Waxman was well back and just didn't
run a step.
Yeah,
He also sort of sucked along on the rail. Having said that, I think that he is pretty good.
I mean, he's beaten 9 lengths to Life is Good. You see Yopon on this card. Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely good. This was one of those horses that they had on the quote-unquote wrong surface for a long time, right? He was on turf for a while, and then they flipped him to the dirt. He rattled off 3 in a row, 4 out of 6. Now he's second and third in a couple of our stakes races. So yeah.
So what you're really saying is, despite the fact that he completely massacred you in miniature golf, that Kirk Wyckoff guy is not really that smart. He's just a better mini golf player than you.
I mean, he had a
I
vest, a
wish
hat,
you
and a putter.
guys could see a video of the look on Anthony's face when Kirk Wyckoff hit the 3rd straight hole-in-one to open it. It was one of the great moments in the history of horse racing. I kind of think he's the horse to beat. I'm going to look at Tiergan's last night race. There's an argument that Tiergan is the last time of the time where he paid $650 in a field that he had over a barrel, but he ran. And his one-turn races are extremely good. You look at that Empty Tomb race where he was against the track and he was wide every step of the way, and he still ran a 96 Beyer. When he runs these one-turn races lately, he's very good. I think he's going to be in a similar position, doubly blessed. And unlike the other race we've seen so far, this race should at least have some pace.
Yeah, right. The one-turn mile smacks him right in the face. He loves it. Even his one-turn races at Belmont going a little longer, he doesn't seem to mind that as well. Yeah,
I think he's the horse to beat. You've got him 3rd. You and I saw this race a little bit differently.
We did.
Obviously the same 3 horses. As far as Hammer and Amber, we'll look at his race 2 back. My problem is, I think that this 4 and 5 are better horses than the horses he beat in this race. And the other thing about the race, look at this is January 14th, 2 back. He really got a great setup because this race completely fell apart.
He did. He did. I'm not going to say he didn't. I'll say this. There's a horse who throughout most of his career did not run well on wet tracks. And in 2 of his last 3 races on wet tracks, he ran.
But is this race good enough to win this race?
I
That's
think
the
it
problem.
is.
See, I don't think it is.
I'll tell you what. It wasn't good enough to win. It wasn't good enough to beat the doubly blessed from last year.
Or the
8
Tier
months
Gun
ago.
that we've seen in the last 2 one-turn
Or
mile
the Tier
races.
Gun.
It's not even comparable to him.
No, it's not.
And I'll tell you something else. If you look at Time Form US figs, they have them just as good on wet tracks as they do on dry tracks. So I don't know. I think it was the setup that he got in this race. You and I saw.
Listen, he got a great setup. I'm not saying he didn't, but he kind of found his form a few months back, and he's kept it. I think the fact that he's run well enough on the wet tracks shows that he's just found his form again.
But he didn't find his form against Doubly Blessed and Tier Gun.
No, he didn't.
Found his form against Regal Quality and Daddy Knows.
You know what?
And they're nice horses, but these horses are better.
Tiergan, in his career, rarely lately he rarely sets up for 2 in a row like that.
He won 3 straight races going
He
back
won
to
3
the
straight,
fall.
but his figs,
No.
those figs don't get it done over a couple of Hammer and Amber's figs. Listen, I thought 3 horses could win a race. He's going to be the best price of those 3 horses.
As he should be. Okay.
And
We
I'll
slightly
take a little shot
disagree in
with
race number 5. Moving
I
on.
was kind of chalked out, to be honest with you.
It's hard because this is a card where there is some real dichotomy in the races,
Yeah.
and the last thing you want to do is just go hunting for prices just because. And there are a lot of races that seem pretty chalky. Race number 6, we'll take a look at Aristocratic, and we'll go 2 back for him and 3 back for Baby I'm Perfect because they ran together in this race. That's why I showed it. I think one of the questions in here is a question that you ask more than I do, but I think it could have some relevancy here is, are you worried about the extra half a furlong for
Yes.
Aristocratic? Now, he has won 2 out of 7 races
Twice,
and run well
yes.
in his 6.5 furlong races, but lately, you're talking about a horse that is sort of coming apart a little in the late stages of races. He's been game, though. I don't worry about it that much, but I think you have to consider it a factor.
Saved by the wire in his last 2.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you look at that race,
Mr.
Baby
Phil
I'm
had
Perfect was right there,
yeah.
and he couldn't get by him. I bet him that day and thinking, ugh, here comes Baby.
Mr.
And-
Phil had dead aim on him
and
too.
he's been pretty game, so I'm not sure the distance is a problem.
Game, yes.
He has been game.
Game for 3 or 4 jumps, yes. Another 1/16 of a mile, I we'll see.
And Baby I'm Perfect, I mean, he ran against Greeley and Ben in his last start. He had
Yep.
no shot in those races.
No shot.
And he fits in there. How is Brilliant Brooks going to win this race?
So I went a little off the reservation here, obviously. I went to Brilliant Brooks.
It's not that big a price.
He bucked that Rob Atras trend you put up.
Okay, he beat
the
Alcoles
stat.
and
He
Mount
beat
Travis.
Alice, and I know who he beat.
Are you sure?
He was a fresh gelding that day. It was his first start off 8.5 months. Now he's second off the bench. He goes to Horacio De Paz. Another one where I think he's going to be a good enough price. I also think I know Aristocratic is stone cold fast, but there's a chance this horse can be laying, I would imagine with South Sea and Baby on Purple, he could be in the spot where if the horses who, South Sea and Baby on Perfect, the second and third choices on the line behind Aristocratic, if they're the ones closest to Aristocratic,
He's going to be behind the 6, 7, and 8 here.
that's what I said. If
So
maybe
why is his position
Because
matter?
I think he could get a good. I think going to 6.5, he might get the trip when I don't think Aristocratic wants the extra half furlong.
He's not good enough,
The other
though.
two have to chase. Well, I mean,
But he's not.
I think the jury's out right now.
I don't.
Okay.
I think his
You
career
don't-
is
That's
pretty
why we have
established.
different picks.
I think his career is pretty established. You're
I
talking
think we
about a
have different
5-year-old
picks.
with
I think the gelding helped him.
you got a horse claimed from Rob Atras by a guy who's
I
run for
got it.
14 off the claim on the
I
dirt.
got it, but the other horse that was a little bit of a bad actor. I think he showed it when he went to the bench when he stumbled at the start. He was kind of sour. He had blown up
You and
some
I are
money.
on a completely different
We
page
are.
here. I don't see
We
his
are.
horse as
We
a
are.
mild contender. I think South Sea, obviously South Sea's last race makes him a player in this race on the surface of things. While he beat nobody, he ran a huge fig. He also did it riding the goldest of gold rails. The rail just opened up for him, and he got the right trip. I am against South Sea in this race.
I'm assuming
much as
this
I
was a-
respect Mike Maselli.
I'm assuming this was a buyback.
I don't. Well, it's not because it's not the same owners. So I don't know what happened. Natalia Lynch claimed this horse for Dark Horse Racing. Now keep in mind the race was over 2 months ago. So I don't know that because it's story.
Well, you'll see that a lot because there'll be times when
You could buy him after a month, right?
right, yeah, and people will mark this day on their calendar for races like this. So they may have went and
You know, we got the answer to yesterday's question. If you run, we're talking about starter
Oh,
races.
I forgot to go look.
No, I did Ray Handel. I saw Ray Handel. And
You believe him?
His nose wasn't growing while he was
Okay.
talking to me, so I think there's a chance he was telling the truth.
Okay.
He said he lost the eligibility with a horse that ran for the waiver. He tried to come back because he was talking to me.
That seems fair to me.
Yeah. Now, he may have lost it because nobody likes him. That's also a possibility. So as far as Supreme Aura, there's no question that Supreme Aura could be really pace compromised in this race. I am absolutely ready to admit that. Having said that, he's going to be 8-1. And he does have races that is fast or fast enough to, or faster to win this race. And the other thing is, you look at him, and I think a lot of people's first inclination to say, well, you're taking a horse 6.5 furlongs that can't sprint. But that's not true. He won his first 2 races in 2017 and 18 at 6 furlongs. He was running figures in 82 and 84 early in his career sprinting. So this is a horse who has run extremely effectively sprinting in his life. And unless you research his entire form, you're not going to be able to tell that that's the case. He's a little interesting to me. Off the claim for Wayne Potts, his last race was not good. There's no question about it. You're going to have to hope he just didn't handle the slop last time. But his races prior to that are good enough to give him a chance. I thought he was a little interesting as an oddball in here. And I'm not looking to just stab with longer prices, but we're looking through races where we can find somebody different. You try to make a case for the 9, who I don't like. I made a case for the 2, who you clearly don't like. But
Yeah.
that's the game.
The infamous fifth pick.
Race number 7. Well, the 5th pick is pretty bad in this race because 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th are pretty not contenders. Race number 7 as we move towards the World Cup, and Life is Good, of course, will be a heavy favorite in that race.
3 to 5.
Maybe we'll have a couple of seconds to talk about that race afterwards if we keep moving as quickly as we are. Race number 7, it's the Buston Bay question all over again. We'll take a look at her big win, 3 back. Okay, honey, the horse that I like finished 3rd in there. I told you she was a joke last time. She was one of the worst favorites of the entire intra-track meet. And not just because she's completely dressed up by one perfect trip after another in these 2 races, but she was running against horses last time that are in a completely different area code than she's in. I know she ran some fast races, but she could not have gotten more fortunate trips. Gold rails, perfect setups, great trips in her races. I think she's all dressed up with nowhere to go. Do I think she can win? Sure, but I think she's a great bet against. You obviously disagree.
Obviously. Obviously.
What makes her good?
You guys can make it 3-8-4-1, by the way. The 5 scratched. Well, she's first off the Potts claim.
You don't like Barista Vixen?
I'm sorry?
You don't
Scratched.
like her? I know. She's joking.
You sent it out.
I sent
found
it
out
out,
from
and
you.
I took her out of my picks.
I did too.
Well, did you? If you send 5 picks every day, it's
I
like
sent
I would.
5 picks. I send 5 picks
I don't
every
believe
day.
it because they took them out for
You
me.
don't have to believe
I
it.
don't believe you. I think you're. Let me
That's
see your
fine.
nose. Let me look.
Don't believe.
I'm
Don't
just
believe.
kidding.
You want to tell everybody?
Anyway,
want to tell everybody about the lunch I won
why
before?
is why he did? Anthony beat me for lunch. We bet odds and evens in that Dubai race, and he beat me.
It's gotta
He
be
was
done.
yelling wire, and he didn't even know the other horse. He had him too. So I am down at lunch. So I'm already a loser today. Well, I also lost a few dollars on the betting against Colonel Liam. Why do you like this horse? Isn't she dressed up with nowhere to go?
I guess.
Isn't she going to be a bigger favorite than 5-2? I don't agree with David.
I don't know. I don't
People
know
like
what's
this
going to
horse.
happen here.
People
I
like
don't know
this
what's
horse.
going to happen here.
I
What
like.
about Awesome Indra?
Well, we'll show Awesome Indra, and then I'll get to my horse. We'll show her last race. Kelly Breen, for what it's worth, has decent numbers off the claim. He's 22 for 91 off the claim on dirt, $1.78 ROI. He's 0 for 8 at Naira, for what it's worth.
Talk about a horse.
We'll take a look at Awesome Indra's last race. Well, the other problem is he claimed from Ray Handel, and the guy's like the best trainer in the game.
Talk about.
It's a bad field,
Yeah,
Anthony.
it's ridiculous.
This was a bad field.
Bad field. She beat a horse. You know, we talked about this earlier on the card about a couple of the favorites in the first couple of races. Talking about Saratoga Beauty, just no speed, and she was able to beat her with her speed. Is she going to be able to clear in here? I don't know. With Quality Stones in the race.
In this race,
I don't know.
Pace Projector has Quality Stones
Yeah,
in front.
I would imagine Quality Stones is
She can
faster.
stalk her. My problem is I'm not sure this race that she ran is good enough to win. I also think the rail was it wasn't a big inside rail day, but it wasn't a disadvantage. And I'm a little skeptical of race. Listen, you know me. I like OK Honey. I'm a fan
You
of this
love
horse.
OK Honey.
I do. I got nothing but love for OK Honey. I know she beat absolutely mediocre horses last time. That was not a good field. And she didn't run a big fig. I think she's got a chance to sort of get her act together and start running her better races. She's not a winning type, I agree. Gustavo Rodriguez, as you pointed out accurately, has done good work since he went on his own. And I've got a thing for her. And the other thing is, when I look at this race, I think the 3 is all dressed up. I think the 4 is, frankly...
Well, she's dressed up.
Frankly, just
Awesome
not that
Indra's a
good.
little dressed up because she probably isn't getting in front of Quality Stones, and her best work is done when she's on the front end.
Well, yeah, that's probably fair. Well, she has rayed a little bit, but that's
Yeah,
that's
but-
fair. That's
right.
fair. No, that's fair. That's very, very fair. I just don't know. I've got her second. My plan here is I don't like Bustin' Bay. Can she win? Of course she can win. I just think she's a little bit of a phony. We'll see. We'll get one more race in before they're still in the paddock, but they've been going the gate pretty quickly. But we'll get one more race in. We'll see what happens. So the 8th race, the Stud Muffin, and you can't mention Stud Muffin without mentioning Dominic Lucio. Horse who trained Stud Muffin. It's a cool horse. It's funny. I was arguing with Aragona about this. I don't agree with
You
him.
were arguing with somebody? I can't believe this.
It's horse racing. If you're not arguing about horse racing, you're not involved in horse racing.
That's correct.
I'm sorry, but it's not. An argument isn't a bad thing.
Very true.
Arguing in a. I have the utmost respect for David Spade. I don't agree with him. He's got Air Attack, the 3rd choice. I think he's going to be favored.
Favorite?
I believe, and we'll go back and watch
I
him
don't
winning the
disagree
Stud
with that.
Muffin last year. I didn't love his last race either. He took a lot of money in there. I agree there are some concerns. And to be fair, when he won the Stud Muffin, he was coming off 105 buyer. Having said that, this is something you know. This horse can row this distance. Is he the same horse? And listen, I'm not saying David's wrong because I have, more respect for his opinion on these morning lines than anybody out there. I'm just skeptical. I think this is a hard race to grasp onto, and they're going to see that Rob Atras
They're gonna
probably claimed this horse back to run in
To
this
run in
race.
this race.
I'm not saying I love him, but
And he has the win at this odd distance.
Right.
I think he'll be favored too. I bet him. Listen, I bet him last time, and was lamenting at the 3/8 pole that I didn't bet more.
oh
on him.
yeah, no, I remember watching the race and thinking, I'm an idiot. I tried to beat Air Attack, and he's going to gallop.
And
His
he-
last race was not good.
It was not good. The last quarter of
Wasn't
a
good.
mile was not good.
It wasn't good.
Yeah.
It's a slight improvement, but it wasn't good. And David's point is, and David's point is well taken, his recent form is not very good.
Right.
So he may be dead right about it. The bottom line is, people may look at the end of the day and say he was a different horse
But
last
I don't
year.
disagree with you. More often than not, when we have this day, which is it's always a wonderful day. It's a fun day to celebrate the horses.
Every day's a wonderful
Well, you know
day.
what I mean?
wanna
Like
sing?
celebrating the claiming horses and stuff. I always get a kick out of it.
What's the Andy Kaufman thing? It's a.
More
don't
often
like
than
Andy
not,
Kaufman?
there is some distance form in this race.
Well,
There's none.
That's not true. That's false.
Recent anyway.
No, that's false.
besides air attack.
That's false. But
Okay. Well, who do you have? Good distance form. I mean, who do you have in here?
The 1A is a distance lover who shipped in for 10 Strike
The
Racing.
only
but you said there's no form.
The only other
word
one.
no was incorrect.
The only other one. So there's 2 horses in here.
I'm not. You said there was no distance
And
for him.
that's it.
There is. Now, he ran against a field that's much better last time out. This horse galloped at a mile
Last
and
2
3/4
times,
race. Right. And they're shipping him in to run here. Do I love an original intent? No. But I'm looking for somebody that's got distance form. I don't trust the 4 off his recent form. And we'll get to Blewett in a minute. And I know this horse is going to love the distance, and it's a great evening factor. And, you know, you've got Geocare on top.
I
the
think
only race he won, he could not have gotten a better
No, he
setup.
couldn't have.
And he may like a distance, and I won't be shocked if he wins. But I got my reservations about
It's
him.
a little bit. It's a little bit of a comeback. He runs like a horse that's going to appreciate this. I don't know, but you know what? If he's that 8-1, he's a weird horse. He's a weird horse for me on the card. If he's 8-1, you can take a little swing with him. If he takes Rudy money and he's like 4-1.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be 8-1. I could be. I'm not.
If he's 8-1, I'll swing. If he's 7-2, 4-1, because I'm like you. I think Air Attack will be the favorite. I think Original Intent will take money off the
No,
out-of-town
I don't disagree with Dave.
distance form.
Here's my problem.
But is Blewett going to be?
He's
Is
got
Blewett
Blewett.
going to be the?
That's my problem. Now listen, I didn't like Blewett at all last time. We'll show his last race, and they are heading the gate, Dubai. But we'll get this last race in, and we'll get through this race.
Yeah.
I don't like Blewett. And the other thing about Blewett is, I know it's a mile and 3/8 race. He ain't getting the lead in
He's
this
not
race.
getting the
He's
lead.
not getting the lead in
That's
front of
the
bar
problem.
14, and there is a storm of brewing. And the connections are going to say, well, he rated last time just fine. At the end of the day, he didn't exactly beat the most stellar of fields last time out. But in fairness to him, he did rate. And
rated.
that's something that we have not seen him do.
Ever.
But he's getting a mile and 3/8 without my money on him.
Amen.
Won't be the last time.
Amen,
won't be the
brother.
first or last time I'm going to lose money against Blewett.
Amen, my man.
So,
Amen.
and David's got him the favorite. And listen, I'm not. David's got an unenviable job. But he's got 5-2, 3-1, and 4-1. I don't think he's,
Original Intent. Original Intent will probably
See,
be the favorite.
he was saying to me he wasn't sure he wouldn't be favored either. We were talking about it, and obviously, this is a tricky race. I'm against Blewett. I get your horse Geocare. I do. This process of elimination, it's tough to take a lot of others in this race.
I agree.
I just wish that he had done a little more than just sort of get very, very fortunate. I think they're running this race at Oaklawn because they're circling behind the gate and it's past post time.
They've been doing that. Well, it's only like a couple of minutes. They're loading in now.
They used to start right on time. They are heading into the gate for the Dubai World Cup. We will take a break and allow you to enjoy the Dubai World Cup and stop listening to 2 idiots up here. And we'll be back to cover the late double here at Aqueduct.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Life is Good is not a mile and a quarter horse.
No, he's not. He got photoed for third. Looks like Country Grammar over Hot Rod Charlie. So the Americans at least won two. Midnight Bourbon chased, kind of backed up. I think he got beat for third. Andy seems
No,
to think
you were watching. Maybe you were.
Yeah,
I may have been watching Hot Rod Charlie.
third.
We'll take a
They're
look at the
showing
finish
that-
right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, he went a very moderate pace, and you're correct. He got beat for third by whoever the two is in that race. Who was the two?
The two. Well, let me go to my Naira bets.
Anyway, it's a big loss for Life is Good. I mean, he couldn't have had a softer trip.
Oh, the Japanese runner. Everything's run
and
all
you
day
couldn't-
from Japan.
You could see him.
Chuo Wizard.
You could see him visibly tiring in the late stages, and Country Grammar finished second. And
Ran his race. He just
Sally
got
comes
tired.
back
Yeah.
and got it done. Hot Rod Charlie was farther back than we expected. He moved up on the inside.
And the announcer made point of. I mean, this track had been speed biased most of the day. This horse got away with a pretty easy
Oh, he
fraction
just couldn't
early
get
on.
the trip.
He just couldn't get a mile and a quarter.
He
Yeah.
could not. And so we'll see how things progress for Life is Good, but congrats connections of Country Grammar. Race number 9, the Caixa Electronica. What a cool horse he was.
Wasn't a grade one. The Charles was there. Was
Charlestown Classic was not a grade 1.
was grade 2, right?
Nor
Huh?
hopefully will it ever be.
Yeah.
Had some grade 1 horses running it. Game on Dude won it.
Came on, dude won it twice. I
Is that right? Yeah, he was quite the horse. His True North, when he came from the clouds to win, was an incredible
Yeah,
race.
it was a fun horse.
This, I thought, was the most competitive race, and I may have gone off the reservation. I am
Wow, I
completely
like that. I'm proud of this story. I
acknowledge
like this,
that
Andy.
that I went. Now, I don't think there's a strong argument against the fact that Anserin and Zoomer are two major players. Now, we're not going to show the last races. We're going to go 2 back for Anserin, 3 back for Zoomer to conclude More Grateful when he finished third behind them. And this was going 6 furlongs at Aqueduct. I thought Anserin ran well in a tough race last time. Zoomer got a tremendous ride and trip. Linda, I'm not putting up the stat, but you are 1 for 32 off the claim at Aqueduct on the dirt since we got here, and that's the case with Zoomer. And he's coming off a slightly dressed up win. He ran well that day, but he got an unbelievably great ride from Dylan to get it done that day. I don't know how More Grateful's necessarily getting it done in here. There's other speeds. I don't know if he's good enough. Of all of these, I prefer Anserin. I'm not totally sold on all of them, and you're obviously against them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if against is a strong.
Well, a little
is the
against.
way, yeah,
a little against the way I am. I'm sorry. You're trying to beat them as
I'm not
well with
trying
a
to
different
beat
horse than me.
Right, but you know, if they run back to that race, because I agree with you, I think Zoomer is a little dressed up off the last race because he got a.
But he's still pretty
monumental-
good.
He is,
but his last 2 races oddly make him look a little better than he is.
I don't disagree with that.
And I have no knock on Anserin. I'm not against him at all. I mean, I don't think you are either. They're logical. So we'll take a look at Repo Rocks, and this is a win here back in January. Okay. December, excuse me.
It's okay.
What do you like about him?
You know, with a little speed signed on in here, you got Whistling Birds. I think your horse is,
Whistling Birds isn't faster than these horses.
early on he could be.
No, he's not.
Well, who do you think's going to be in front of him? More Grateful?
Well, Grateful Mexican One Boy.
Okay. So I think with
I don't
the
know why.
three of
I don't know why More Grateful wasn't in front last time, but I don't think we're going to see that
Well,
happening
with
again today.
Jose Gomez, and you get the. By the way, this year you get the weight. I know a couple of years past they haven't. The Bug Riders get the weight, so he gets in pretty light.
Because they're not handicapped. They're start allowances.
Yeah, but if one year they didn't get the weight. I don't remember. Anyway, More Grateful going to be forward. Actually, Wonder Boy going to be forward. Whistling Bird's going to be forward. I think the race.
I think you're dreaming that Whistling Bird's going to be forward.
Okay. I think Repo Rocks can.
Are you worried he got left last time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't.
Last two times was a little. They're a little concerning, but I want to try and beat the favorites. I think he'll. I mean, he'll probably be the third choice. I don't know if Prince James is going to be shorter than him.
Prince James. To be fair about Prince James,
I didn't know what to do
last
with
race
him.
wasn't bad. He's not impossible in this race. I don't love him. His last race was not bad.
I don't know what to do with him. He took an awful lot of money last time, Andy.
He did.
Off that one.
Who was the
fig.
favorite in that race? I bet Amundsen. I was with Sean. I watched this race. There's a bad favorite in this race.
Yeah, favorite didn't. I don't think the favorite.
Favorite was
ran.
Speed. Favorite was Speed and stopped.
Yeah.
Okay, Mexican Wonder Boy. I get it. I get it. Well, his race 3 back's good enough to win here. Okay, his race 4 back, good enough to win here, in my opinion. And he is coming out of 2 races, bless you,
Thank you.
that have fallen apart. And he is coming out of an absolute and total pace meltdown last
Oh, yeah.
time. And one thing I do, and one thing that I have made money with in my life, is betting horses that were involved in the pace, that were the chief pace setters in meltdown race, and they come back. And this is a horse that looks a lot worse than he is because of the dynamics of the races he's been in. And the reality is that his races, in my opinion, 3, 4, maybe even 5 back. Now, Secret Rules for the favorite in that race, and he never wins. That's who it is, right? Secret Rules. I don't have a lot of confidence in Mexican One Boy. I'm not going to sit up here, and I can understand you're looking at him and saying, Andy, good luck to this horse. He was Danny Gargan. His form's fallen apart since he left Danny Gargan. I'm not going to sit here and say I disagree with you. But I am betting horses that were the pace setters in meltdowns. That's what I do. And I also think that this field is more vulnerable. It's going to be a big price. And a lot of these horses are a little vulnerable. I think he's better than he looks, and the others may be not quite as good as they look. Not that I
don't disagree with that sentiment at all.
I mean, you took Rebel Rocks, who's probably a little slow based on the other horses. So you're hoping he runs forward.
Right. I'm hoping he moves forward. I'm hoping the stakes faced helps him a little bit.
This is a good race. This is the best race. This is the most interesting race in this card. Because the other thing is, it's competitive, and it's competitive with good horses.
Yes.
This is a very, very solid race. And finally, we'll get to. You didn't think we were going to get close to the end, but we did. We'll look at No Salt. And this is another situation that's not dissimilar to what we talked about earlier in the day. And we'll take a look at his race 2 back. We finished second to Water's Edge, who won the stake here last week, where you have a horse that doesn't have much speed that overlays the field on figures. And it's a bigger field, so maybe he could potentially get a little bit lost in here. I just think he's too much better than these horses to lose.
Yeah, I took
I'm going to use your horse, but he's
one slide shot against him.
He looks like the only horse to take. And listen, to be fair, the concern besides that with No Salt is his last race was a step back. So maybe he peaked in this race and he took a step back. That's also
his
possible.
last race off of his 2 prior races was a step back.
Has to be a little bit concerning.
So and I know he won at 6.5 furlongs.
This is 7.
You don't worry. Yeah, you don't worry about the 7 as much. I don't.
I love the 7.
Yeah.
No, I love the 7.
For him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I like it more for him than I do for Mitre Porciento. But as far as Mitre Porciento, we'll go to his race 2 back. He's acclaimed by a trainer who's been moving horses up off the claim with regularity in recent days, and he has back form that could win this race.
Yes,
and
he does.
To me, is the only other horse you really want in here.
Yeah, I thought he could, maybe get a little help from Binkster. Next flight obviously is going to be
Binkster's not going. The 1A's the speed.
I would imagine.
You don't think that Mitre Porciento's going to be in front?
I think they're going to send Binkster and get Mitre Porciento kind of a little bit
Binkster
of a
couldn't be in front of him unless have they inserted an engine in his butt?
There was an old version of Binkster that could have been in front of him.
Okay, so if there's an engine in his butt, he has a chance. And they're like this on Mitre Porciento. They're like leaning back as far as he couldn't be in front of this horse in 1,000 years unless the 1A falls coming out of the gate. Stop it.
You want to bet a lunch Binkster?
Anthony, you told me a horse was going to be speed yesterday that was trailing the field. Like I told you, you've got to start looking at pace figures. You've got to start looking at pace figures.
You think this? Listen, I
the
don't
one
need to
can't
stop
be in front of the 1A to save his life.
Okay.
And unless Wayne Potts told you that
I
there's
did
no
not
way,
have a conversation
then
with
there's
Wayne
no
Potts
way
about
the
this
one
race.
can be in front of the 1A. None. And he's laughing, listening to this, thinking, boy, Anthony has really left the reservation because I'm going to try to wire the field.
So you think Jose Gomez?
I don't care.
Rail,
I don't care who's right. I don't care if Early Fires came out of retirement.
Early Fires would get him in front.
No, he couldn't.
No.
He has no speed.
With this horse's better races coming from just off the pace.
By the way, I'm going to replay to the last time he ran on Talking Horses. And you know what Mr. Stabile said? I'm worried about Binkster. He's lost his speed. But apparently now he's found it.
1,000,000%.
Apparently now he's... Did you not say that?
I 1,000,000% said it.
Okay. All right. We'll get back to reality.
Do we want to talk about the last 2
He has no chance.
trainers
He has no chance to be
whose hands he was in?
He has no chance to be in front. Direct order, it's a bad opinion, Anthony.
All right.
Good luck to you. If he gets in front, I'll come on the show and tell you that you're the god of all paces.
Andy, I'm not saying he's fast enough. I'm just saying on a dead send to set it up for Mitre Porciento.
If he dead sends, he's sending it up for the 10, Anthony.
All right.
If he goes on a dead send, he's setting it up for the favorite. That's the whole point. If he goes on a dead send, he's not helping his entry mate. He's hurting his entry mate.
I don't agree with that. I mean, I
You're wrong.
I don't disagree with
You're
it.
wrong.
I don't think that's.
I think that Joyce has Pizzazz and Next Flight are going to be forward in this race.
The next flight has to be forward.
Right. But Binkster's not going to be one of them.
Okay.
The other horse in the race is the 4, Direct Order, off the claim from Michelle Nevin.
Yeah.
Cutting back. He's got races to give him an outside chance. Okay. You got to head upstairs. You got big work ahead of you.
do.
You got a big day ahead of you. You and Maggie. And you're going to be carrying the load when she goes down the saddle of the Tom Morley horse.
Maggie wouldn't leave me.
I'd love to know what Maggie thinks of that.
Maggie wouldn't
that
leave
point.
me.
Yeah, she's going to be sitting up there thinking, "God, I wish I was down in the paddock."
I don't think so.
Mig will be in the paddock.
Correct.
All right. Looking forward to today's day. Looking forward to seeing the one on the engine the last race day. That's the thing. Until 6 o'clock, you're not
can't
going to
wait
get
till
the
list
answers.
horses. I
You guys
can't wait
have
till list horses
5
in front
hours and
today.
15 minutes. Just like your horse that had speed yesterday, it was dead last early, like I
can't
told
wait.
you it would be. Anyhow, head over to NyraBets.com if you're not a member. Do you want to run?
No, go ahead.
You want to hang
I'm
out?
good. I'm all right.
All right.
Thanks.
We will use the promo code STAKES200. We will match the $200 of your initial deposit. We have the stakes split, 10K. What are they, Anthony? Do you know what these are? Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on
Oh
the
yeah,
spot. I knew you were texting. I didn't mean to-
Gulfstream Park, Tampa Bay, Aqueduct, and the cross country pick 5. You don't have to hit all of them. Hit one
Yeah,
of them.
each
2,500.
one is for a
Each one's
certain amount of money.
2,500.
All right.
Got to
We've
opt
also-
in.
We've also got the bankroll builder. Bet 50 or more to win on one horse Louisiana Derby, win or lose, and you can win. Obviously, the horse to beat. You trying to beat Epicenter? I wouldn't.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to beat him in there. I'm interested to see what Zozos does. I'm a little
I
skeptical.
want to see how Rattle and Roll comes back on a bigger track, bigger stretch, longer stretch.
I think he's going to be. I'm going to key him in third in the Oklahoma Derby. I don't care what anybody says. And they're going to say key him in fourth in the Super, but I'm keying Rattle and Roll in third in that Oklahoma Derby. I love him in that spot. Why people are in love with this horse, I have
I'm not in love with him. I
absolutely.
just think he'll
I'm not
run
saying
better.
you are.
I just think he'll run better than he ran
I don't,
last time.
I don't think. I don't think he can't run worse. Well, he could run worse, and then he won't even be in the Oklahoma Derby. I don't get the fascination, and I'm not saying you. I don't get the fascination with this horse.
Okay.
Race number is Lafitte, still up there.
Race number
How
what?
much green in this
Cross
game?
country picking. So used to
Cross-country
saying
Big
race
Five.
number.
No, it's cross country Big 5. Tampa, Aqueduct, Oaklawn, Aqueduct, Oaklawn.
I just said race
Getting
number.
Anthony all revved up for his for America's Day at the Races. And finally, speaking of America's Day at the Races,
Boom.
1 to 7. Anthony somehow in the next 10 minutes is going to be on the air, miles away from where we are today. And you were right. Chua, what is it?
Chua Wizard.
Finishes third. Country Grammar. Life is good. So I guess now it's fair to say that maybe he wouldn't have won the Derby.
Right? Yeah,
'Cause
well,
he really, unless something went wrong, you could see him just stop.
He just stopped.
Right.
Yeah, he don't look like a horse that anything went wrong. He looked like a horse that ran out of gas.
Agreed, and he's been such a good horse, but that's why they run races.
Yeah, at different
Anyway,
distances.
It's been fun. Can't
Do it again
afford
tomorrow.
We are going to do it again tomorrow. You have a great day. Looking forward to today's races. Have a great day. John Imbrial, the voice of New York racing, up next with the reprise, the scratches and changes.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to Aqueduct.